Welcome back to the Black Hills and Eastern Railroad, everybody. Last time we took a look at layout room characteristics, and in old-time layout design speak, they kind of used to refer to that as the givens, and that's the way I titled that episode. This episode, we're going to take a look at the druthers, which is the I'd rather type decisions being made here on the railroad. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is that you guys know, but I'll state this again, that this is really an operations focused layout. We are going to be making setouts and pickups and playing simulation like operating trains that in such a way that sort of resembles the way real trains operated and moved back here in the areas which we're representing. For the most part, we're going to be operating on benchwork that's built approximately 24 inches out from the wall or so. Then we want to talk about minimum radius curves. I was listening to a really good model railroad design program with the Second Section podcast the other day. They had Tom Klomoski on, and he's a well-known layout design type person. And he suggests that outside curves like we're looking at here need to be as big as possible because of that gap in between these long cars. And I sympathize with that. That's, you know, they look a lot better the bigger the curves you can put them on. In some cases, however, though, that can't be avoided. And there's a design element that I have over here on the north end of the Sioux City yard. There is a pair of curved switches here that are next to each other. Granted, these aren't mainline switches, but these are part of the continuous run. And I believe these Atlas curve switches are 28-inch radius on the inside, maybe 30 or 32 on the outside. They still look okay here, but once you get a pair of SD40-2s running over these back to back, they do look kind of short. The other thing I wanted to do on this layout is I wanted to eliminate Duckunders. I used to be a member of an HO scale club in the area here, and there's a Duckunder that's necessary to access the layout. And I saw a lot of the old timers going under there and having a hard time with that. I'm still pretty young, but I realize I'm not going to remain that way. So I wanted to eliminate Duckunders from my layout completely and just avoid that situation altogether. And then I wanted to hide or eliminate turnback loops. A train should only pass through a scene once. So here's where we get to the fun part of the episode, which we talk about setting and era and things like that. I grew up in southeast South Dakota, so consequently, that's what the operations that I saw here is what I want to depict. Burlington Northern on a little bit of the Marshall sub from between Sioux City and Garrettson, and then the Corson sub from Garrettson, South Dakota over to Sioux Falls, and industrial switching in Sioux Falls as well. And of course, you guys know that I plan to do a couple of short lines or include some other ancillary railroads in that plan in and around the Sioux Falls area and around other parts of South Dakota. And then we have the High Line. No conversation about this HO scale model railroad would ever be complete without talking about me modeling the line between Edgemont, South Dakota and Deadwood, South Dakota as the top loop on this double-deck model railroad. My inspiration came largely from this Rick Mills book, which I first saw probably in the very late 80s or early 90s. And there's some pictures in this book. There's pictures all over South Dakota, very, very good pictures, collected by Rick and published in this book. And it includes a few very, very sweet pictures of activities going on the High Line, the Deadwood line. So this provided early inspiration, and then Brother Eric and I took a bicycle trip on the Mickelson Trail, which is the former High Line to Deadwood, between Edgemont and Deadwood, South Dakota, which provided further inspiration. And then at some point after that bicycle trip through the Black Hills, I picked up this 1976-77 annual on Burlington Northern, which features a really neat article by Mr. Nick Theralson, who I met one time here a while back, on the operations on the High Line. So that article was set in the very late 70s or very early 80s, and he goes into detail about what the crew's typical day was and what was handled, what power was used, all that type of thing, what industries were served. It's really a neat article. If you guys are thinking about South Dakota railroading, either on the High Line or South Dakota railroading in general, I encourage you to pick up any Rick Mills book, but specifically with regard to the Highline, this is a good resource, as is all the other Rick Mills books as well. So then, building on my fascination for refrigerator cars and the Burlington Northern's operations in Denver down to Golden, Colorado, serving the Coors Brewery, and that job being referred to as the beer run, I wanted to satiate my interest in that and maybe do a little bit of proto-lancing or freelancing and include a brewery somewhere on the layout. My tentative choice at this point is to plant a brewery at Hill City, and I know there's never been a rail-served brewery there. But looking at pictures, it's plausible. Looking at historical pictures, it's plausible to think that there was enough room for a somewhat decent-sized brewery there at one point before it got all redeveloped. And I'd like to add interest to that coal hauling and to the basic commodities that were handled on that line, and add a brewery. And I really can't wait to have my guys, my operators, and myself included, run that beer job. Maybe we'll run that beer run out of Edgemont. Maybe we'll run it out of Deadwood. I'm not sure yet how that'll look, but I'm really interested in getting that done, and hope that happens very soon. And then these next two things sort of go hand in hand here with each other. And the first of those two would be that I'm really looking for a stage to showcase my HO scale model railroad equipment, engines and rail cars. Sort of a lot of this stuff has been packed away in boxes for a long time, and I'm looking to get it out and make some use of it and have some fun with it. And then the other point would be that I'm looking to run somewhat long trains. I think it's reasonable to think that we're going to get 15 or 20 cars in a normal train here that operates over both the Corson subdivision and the Highline, and possibly more than that, but we'll see where the siding length takes us with operations and what the layout can handle. So I hope I gave you a good idea of my druthers here in this episode. I hope to get you a track plan one of these days. I don't have one other than hand drawn on paper with pencil, but in the meantime, I hope you like the content here. Subscribe for more, leave us a comment, and see you in the next one.